Well, we're slowly beginning to prove across Delmarva, still seeing some misty conditions across the area. Well, pleasant good Tuesday morning, Delmarva. Coast TV News First Alert Meteorologist Chris Mastrobuono with a little update on what seems like been the nor'easter that just never wants to leave. We've been dealing with cloudy skies, rain, wind, and really just waves pounding the coast here over the last 3 days. Now, the rain over the last 2 days has been more really of the nuisance variety, and that's what we've been dealing with this morning yet again. That wind-driven mist that we've been seeing across the area, but the general theme today is going to be improving conditions. Not really going to see sunshine, but we're going to see the mist come to an end, and then eventually we'll see clearing skies. As we take a live look into the Lewis, still seeing a bit of those choppy seas and bays there, and the winds more out of the northeast today. We had a north wind yesterday that kind of helped us with the high tide cycle yesterday afternoon. And as we take a look there, we're seeing temperatures around 57 degrees, overcast skies, wet boards there in Rehoboth Beach as those misty conditions continue. Some folks there on the beach seeing those waves today. We're between about 4 to 7 feet, and those winds out of the north at about 11 miles an hour. We're seeing stronger shower here in Ocean View with the water on the lens there. Some choppy seas there in the bay, 58 with the wind coming out of the northeast. As we make our way into Ocean City, the overcast skies there, we're seeing a temperature of 60 degrees there. A stronger wind, northeast wind sustained 22. We've seen some gusts anywhere between about 30-35 miles an hour. So there's a lot going on here in the Atlantic. You can see occluded fronts, you see troughs, low pressure systems, you see all kind of stuff going on here. But our area of low pressure is continuing to sink to the east-southeast. But the circulation around the low is so vast, it's so far out from the center that the cloud deck is so far to the east. So it's going to take a while for the clouds to push off the coast. And you can see a front well back off to the west. But all of this is going to be pushing east throughout the day today. But we're still seeing some of that wraparound moisture. We're dealing with lower level moisture, some wind-driven mist, some fog, some drizzle. And that's really what we're going to be seeing, at least through the morning. I think the drizzle is going to be winding down here through about midday. And then we're looking at just rather cloudy, breezy conditions for the remainder of the afternoon. You can see some of those light showers and mist pushing through Milford. And then along the coast, we had one area pushing into Ocean Pines and Ocean City there, and then a few other bands pushing in across the mid-shore. Winds right now are gusting upwards of 30 miles an hour. Indian River Inlet, 26 in Ocean City, and we're seeing that wind flow out of the northeast gusting 21 miles an hour in Georgetown and 24 in Salisbury. So it's going to be a rather breezy afternoon again. The winds, it's going to take a while for the winds to kind of subside. We're going to be pretty breezy at the coast here over the next few days. Waves, well, not nearly as high as we have been over the recent days. We have anywhere between about 7 to 9 foot waves off the coast of the Delmarva. Still seeing some 10-foot waves there off the coast of New Jersey. Now, the other concern going into this evening, the coastal flood advisory. Now, this was downgraded. We were in a coastal flood warning yesterday. So we do have the coastal flood advisory up through about 8 o'clock tonight. This is through the high tide cycle this afternoon. Primary concern here is for some flooding in the back bays. I know there's some flooding already ongoing from the high tide last night and then this morning. So we're seeing some flooding in across Bethany as well as Long Neck, but we could see another round of that today. This will be minor flooding compared to what we've been dealing with in the past 2 days, and that coastal flood advisory is up for 7 o'clock there, Accomack as well as Worcester counties, and then we still have that gale warning up through 4 o'clock this evening for the potential to see some 30 to 40 mile an hour gusts off the coast. So there's that coastal flooding threat through this evening. Primary concern again is for the back bays, up to a foot of inundation possible. Primary concern there, Rehoboth Bay and Little Assawoman Bay. Those areas are of a concern that could see flooding here through high tide. And again, this is minor flooding. We had major flooding Monday, moderate yesterday, so minor. So you could see we're slowly beginning to wind down as this nor'easter pushes to the east. So here we are, our high tides this afternoon coming in at 3:51 in Lewis. Indian River Inlet coming in at 4:04, Fenwick Island 2:37, and then Ocean City Inlet coming in at 3:50 this afternoon for the high tide. And again, minor flooding in those areas is possible with up to a foot of water inundation there in those low-lying areas. So you can see the low clouds there. I believe this is Laurel. Low clouds there, and that's what we're going to be dealing with here through the remainder of the morning and into the early afternoon as we see the nor'easter slowly pushing to our east and skies clearing. Look at that on cue. You can see the ground there. Slow improvements. That's really going to be the theme for our Tuesday. And the breeziness is going to stick around. But the good news is, look at that. Sunshine is going to be making a comeback for our Wednesday, a midweek delight. Yeah, it's going to feel good because we've been socked into the cloudy skies and just very raw conditions here over the last few days with the strong winds we've been seeing at the coast, wind-driven rains. Not as breezy inland tomorrow, but we could still see some gusts upwards of 20, 25 miles an hour at the coast. The real treat's going to be late tomorrow night into Thursday. We have a cold front coming through, dry front, but it's actually going to drop the temperatures even lower. We're going to have highs Thursday and Friday in the low 60s with sunshine, and that's pretty good. Anytime you can get low 60s without any cloud and rain and sunny skies, and then by Friday morning we could be dealing with some areas in the 30s away from the coast to start. So we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, overcast skies through your lunchtime and into the afternoon. We'll squeak out highs in the mid-60s this afternoon. Again, that mist will likely come to an end as we go into the afternoon, and we're looking at certainly much better conditions as we go into the day tomorrow. But again, just that misty conditions through the afternoon, at least the early part of the afternoon, and we're looking at much improved conditions by the start of the day tomorrow. But again, that main concern going into the afternoon today is going to be the threat of that potential coastal flooding as we go into the afternoon time frame, and that will be through the high tide cycle as we go into the day tomorrow. And we'll take another look at that the satellite and radar, and that coastal low slowly beginning to push out to sea, and that's what we want to see, as the system has been just kind of plaguing us with heavy rain and wind and just heavy surf over the last few days. The good news is we escaped heavy rain, leading up to this event. Some of the models were pumping out 4 to 5, 6 inches of rain across Sussex County. So that we kind of saved ourselves there. But there's that area of low pressure pushing out to sea, and you can see the wide, vast range of clouds and the moisture always building up into portions of Boston and Cape Cod. And you can still see some scattered light drizzle, mist pushing across the area, and we're drying out north of Delmarva. You can see some drier air filtering in here, but still a lot of clouds back all through southeastern Pennsylvania and western portions of Maryland. So the clear skies still far back to the west, but that will be pushing in later on tonight and through the early morning of Wednesday. Still dealing with some gusty conditions out there this hour. Gusts upwards of 30 miles an hour, Indian River Inlet to 26 in Ocean City. And we'll look at those threats for coastal flooding this afternoon through high tide. We have that coastal flood advisory that continues through about 8 o'clock. So this was downgraded yesterday. We had that coastal flood warning for the last 2 days, but now we have that advisory up through 8 o'clock tonight. Primary concern there would be the back bays for any tidal flooding up to a foot in inundation through high tide. We have that coastal flood advisory for Accomack and Worcester County, Northampton counties through 7 o'clock tonight as well. There's no advisories for the bay side. We're good there. We just have small craft advisories up, no coastal flooding concerns along the bay. The primary concern for the the Atlantic side would be for any back bays, primarily Rehoboth Bay, Little Assawoman Bay could see up to a foot of inundation through the high tide, and those waves will be anywhere between about 4 to 7 feet through the afternoon today. As we take a look at those high tides, once again, minor tidal flooding expected in these areas. We're slowly downgrading from where we were at over the last few days. We were at major on Sunday and Monday, and then we had moderate flooding yesterday afternoon, and then we're looking at minor flooding today. So again, the theme today, slowly improving as skies will begin to clear, and we are looking at much improved conditions by later on in the week. Hope you will join us for Coast TV News Midday at 11.